Thanks for joining us for KSAT News at 9, streaming from right here in the KSAT 12 newsroom. I'm Steve Spriester. Coming up, an update on the COVID-19 outbreak in the Bexar County Jail. The Bexar County Commissioner's Court voicing support for the expansion of mail-in voting amid the pandemic. Plus, we are speaking live to the founder of a local craft beer bar about how hard his industry has been hit during this public health crisis. But first, another 65 confirmed COVID-19 cases in Bexar County. 14 of those are from our community. Another death has also been reported, bringing our local COVID-19 related death toll to 59. That patient, by the way, was a resident at Legend Oaks Healthcare and Rehabilitation. Tonight, 931 people are still fighting the virus. 1,051 have recovered. Yesterday marked 2 months since the first COVID-19 case was confirmed in Bexar County. And here's a look at how the cases have grown since March 13th. In the first month, we went from 1 case to 794. By April 19th, we surpassed 1,000 cases. Yesterday, the count was 1,976. And today, there are now 2,041 cases in Bexar County. Meanwhile, the number of positive cases continue to grow at the Bexar County Jail. 44 more inmates tested positive overnight, which brings the total number of inmates with confirmed positive cases currently inside the jail to 297. Out of those, 223 inmates are not showing symptoms. Since the beginning of this pandemic, a total of 386 inmates at the jail have tested positive. 61 have recovered, 14 have been released. Those numbers also include 13 inmates in the recovery unit and 1 inmate who died.
Let's just assume everybody's got it, and let's continue to test 100% of our inmates until we've got a better picture of it, and then at least we know what we're up against.
As of right now, 1,300 inmates have been tested in all. It is no secret we are living through challenging times, and the news can be tough to hear. But during this pandemic, we've also heard stories of people stepping up to help out others. This is one of those stories. The Seguin family opened up their doors to their home and gave Texas Lutheran University students a place to stay after their campus closed due to the pandemic. Tiffany Huertas shares their story.
All of the plans that we had for our senior year have just gone out the windows.
In March, Texas Lutheran University senior Delaney Chambers learned she would need to move off campus due to COVID-19. A spokesperson for the university says they asked students to move off campus for health and safety reasons. Delaney says that day, she received a text message from her mom.
It just said, "How can I help you and your friends?"
2 of Delaney's friends from school are from out of town and had nowhere to go. So on March 30th, they moved in with her family in Seguin.
It's not like we've had 2 strangers move in. It's just like we've gained 2 new family members.
Sophomore Johnny Samaniego Lozano and senior Daniel Saunders say they are grateful for everything the family has done for them.
I can't be any more grateful for how much they've just inspired me.
With this family, we always want to be around each other. We always want to have just each other's company and each other's energy.
During the pandemic, the students continued to learn online and created many memories with the Chambers family too.
They're all creative geniuses, all of them. And there's never a dull moment. There's very few quiet moments, but it's always fun. They've actually inspired me to start writing again.
The Chambers family even threw Delaney and Daniel a surprise graduation.
We do know that not everybody can do this. Not everybody's blessed and capable of doing this, but everybody can do something to help. You know, we are Americans and we're Texans, and we always come together in times of need.
Great that they're helping out. A state appeals court has upheld a temporary order from a state district judge that could expand the number of voters who qualify for mail-in ballots during the pandemic. It's the latest in the battle over how our upcoming elections will be conducted. Meanwhile, the Bexar County Commissioner's Court passed a non-binding resolution today supporting the expansion of mail-in voting. Under Texas election code, voters have to give a reason to apply to vote by mail. Here's a look at a list of the pre-approved reasons. On that list, being disabled. In Commissioner's Court today, Bexar County District Attorney Joe Gonzalez offered his legal opinion that under current state law, lack of immunity can qualify as a disability. County officials say they want as many people voting as possible, and they didn't want the ongoing pandemic to get in anyone's way.
From our perspective, this is not a political decision. This is a pro-democracy decision. We want more people to engage in the process. We want informed voters going to the polls or submitting their mail ballot.
This likely isn't the end of the process, though. During today's resolution, the state of Texas is not interpreting the law the same way. In fact, the state is facing several legal challenges from voters and civil rights organizations attempting to expand vote by mail. Right now, it is unclear what will happen. Bexar County runoff elections, by the way, are scheduled for July. Let's turn to tonight's 9 at 9. The Department of Homeland Security continuing its work on a southern border wall, endangered turtles seized at an airport in Mexico, and a look at how COVID-19 is impacting communities around the world. Here's tonight's 9 at 9. A new report shows that more than 40% of all coronavirus deaths in England and Wales have been in nursing homes. Now critics are calling out British Prime Minister Boris Johnson for not warning nursing homes soon enough about the dangers posed by the virus. The city of Wuhan, China, where the original coronavirus outbreak started, plans to test all 11 million of its residents. The announcement comes just days after 6 locally transmitted cases were reported in that city. The Department of Homeland Security says it's making progress on building President Donald Trump's wall on the southern border.
We have over 180 miles built of new border wall system. We are on track to build 450 by the end of this calendar year.
The agency also says border crossings are down 60 to 75%. A new study has found the COVID-19 test being used by the White House frequently misses cases of the virus. The White House uses the Abbott ID Now test. New York University researchers looked at nasal swabs from 101 patients. Another diagnostic test found that 31 of them had COVID-19. Of those positive swabs, 48% were negative with the Abbott test. The Food and Drug Administration, which authorized the test in March, is now investigating. In Georgia, officials are working to completely eradicate this lizard. They say the Argentine black and white tegus poses a major threat to some of the state's native wildlife. Biologists say they can grow up to about 4 feet and can eat just about anything they want. They also multiply fast and don't have a lot of predators. The International Olympic Committee says postponing the Tokyo 2020 Games will probably cost the organization up to $800 million. The 2020 Olympics were slated to start in July of this year, but were postponed until July of 2021 because of the coronavirus pandemic. Tyson Foods says it's cutting prices on some of its meat products, but it's only for the rest of this week. From now until Saturday, the company says it will discount its meats by 20 to 30%. The discount comes as reports show prices at grocery stores across the U.S. are rising. An internal memo by Southwest Airlines tells flight crews not to stop passengers from boarding if they refuse to wear a mask. It says flight attendants should approach the situation with empathy and respect. The airline tells flight attendants to inform customers of the policy and ask them to comply, but not enforce it. Southwest's official policy says customers will be asked to wear the mask when social distancing is not possible. Mexico says it's intercepted a shipment of more than 15,000 turtles that were being sent illegally to China. Authorities discovered the freshwater turtles at the international airport in Mexico City. Many of those turtles are members of threatened or endangered species. 260 had died. The rest were transported to a conservation and research center outside of Mexico City. To read more about these stories, head to KSAT.com. All right, we had some pretty big storms overnight. I mean, we got some nice rain for a large part of San Antonio.
Yeah, it was really beneficial, and it woke me up at like 4:45, which I think I slept through a little bit of it. But then once I was up, that's the curse of being a meteorologist. That was it. I was up for the day. So it may have gotten woken up a little bit earlier than you had planned this morning. I've got some good news for you overnight tonight. No rain or storms in the forecast, so we've got all smiley faces for your sleeping forecast. You will not be awakened by Mother Nature's alarm clock on Friday morning. That may not be the case, though, as we get into the start of the weekend. We've got more rain in the forecast. A quick look at today's measured rainfall in and around Bexar County and in some of our surrounding counties here at the airport in San Antonio. Just shy of a ½ inch of rain downtown San Antonio, very close to 1 inch of rain. And that was generally true along the Highway 90 corridor off into Medina County. Some places there saw close to 1 inch of rain, so very beneficial. Our ground is still very dry. We need to fill up the aquifer any chance we can get. So beneficial rain, and we will take it. Our highest chances of rain in the planning forecast do come tomorrow night, an 80% chance of widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. Some of those storms tomorrow night could be on the strong to severe side. We'll hold on to an early chance of some showers on Saturday, but really overall, once we get past early Saturday morning, the upcoming weekend doesn't look too bad, and it's certainly not looking like a washout. So overnight tonight, skies become cloudy. By lunchtime, we'll start to see some of that cloud cover break up just a little bit. Hot and muggy tomorrow afternoon. We could see some isolated showers and storms develop during the heat of the day, but it is going to be after 10 o'clock tomorrow night, likely closer to 12 a.m. Saturday morning, that highest chance of rain kicks in. And the reason for this high chance of showers and storms tomorrow night is because we've got an upper level disturbance that now is sitting over northern California, southern Arizona there. It's this little dip in these lines that you see here. That's the mid and upper level winds in the atmosphere. And when those winds kind of dip down like that, that's indicative of some upper level energy that could spark some showers and storms. That energy is going to run into some very warm and muggy air here in South Texas. The combination of these two things, a great recipe for some storms to develop, some of which again could be strong to severe. So let's walk you through Futurecast. We're going to start this at lunchtime tomorrow. So most of us tomorrow through sunset through 9-10 o'clock are going to get through the day without any rain. I can't rule out though some isolated thunder showers popping up during the heat of the day tomorrow afternoon, simply because it will be so warm and muggy. Then we get to this time tomorrow night, Friday 9 p.m. Again, we're looking okay here in San Antonio, but look off to the west. There will be a line of storms, a complex of storms beginning to develop coming out of far west Texas and the higher terrain of northern Mexico. This will continue to push east as we approach midnight. This is 12 a.m. Saturday morning. A lot of the action still west of San Antonio, but this will fill in over the I-35 corridor. Getting to San Antonio, we're going to say around midnight or so, probably between midnight and about 2 a.m. However, you got to check back in with us tomorrow during the day, because we'll be tweaking the forecast kind of hour by hour as we get closer to these storms moving in tomorrow night. We get into the overnight hours, these storms continue to move off to the east, but there still could be some lingering rain in San Antonio through dawn on Saturday. So the biggest concerns with storms as they move in tomorrow night, because they're going to be moving in one of those lines, some straight line winds will be a concern. Some damaging straight line winds will be possible. We're not concerned about tornadoes developing. This is just not one of those setups where tornadoes are a concern, but non-tornadic thunderstorm winds certainly could pose a threat. Our second biggest concern is for some flooding to develop. Our ground is very saturated because of the rain we've gotten so far this week, so any very heavy rain could lead to some minor flash flooding issues across the area. There could also be some hail in those storms as we get into tomorrow night. So just make sure you have a way to receive severe weather alerts. Since these storms are going to be coming in late tomorrow night, you want to have something like the KSAT weather app, something that will send you alerts when there's severe weather approaching your area. And of course, we'll be keeping you updated on air, on our website, and via the apps over the next day or so.
All right, I know you're talking about late night.
Yes.
Tomorrow night. Are we so at this time tomorrow night will we be seeing storms in the area?
This time I don't think they'll be to San Antonio yet. They'll still be west, but by this time tomorrow night they will have developed, so we'll really be able to time things out by the hour by this time tomorrow evening.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. Every night around this time, we interview a range of people about the pandemic, from health experts to the mayor to those who have firsthand knowledge of how this global health crisis is affecting our community. And we are certainly aware that there are people who are hurting out there. And tonight we're joined by Rob Martindale, who is the founder of Big Hops. Rob, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Talk about Turn Up the Lights. It's something that's going to happen tomorrow from 6 until 10 o'clock. The purpose behind this?
Well, it was created with the Texas Bar and Nightclub Alliance. We're pushing it to show unity and solidarity with the bar, tavern, and nightclubs here in Texas or all across the state. We want to show the community that we're ready to open back up and do so with a safety plan in place.
What is it going to look like for most bars? Just like it says, you're going to turn up the lights, turn on the music?
We are. We're going to turn up the lights, turn up the music. We're not open to the public. We won't be serving alcohol, but we'll have our employees there and really just to, again, show solidarity with the industry and that we're going to survive this. And we are ready and here to go back to serving the community.
I mean, I think we've hit, 2 months since the first case was detected in San Antonio. Is that, what have those 2 months been like for you to be closed?
Well, yes, sir. 55 days ago, we were shut down. So we had to furlough all of our employees immediately. I mean, we had a 6-hour notice. And we've lost all revenue. So for us, March 18th, we've had 0 revenue in. So it's been tough. And, but we're doing our best. Fortunately, Big Hops is in a position that we'll be able to weather the storm, but there's plenty of other small businesses out there in our industry that might not be able to do so. So it has definitely been hard on everyone.
When do you think we're going to hit the point where we're going to see, I mean, Jody Newman, the owner of the Friendly Spot, told us at 6 o'clock she thought we were at about 30% of the bars that are closed down right now may not be able to reopen. I mean, is there a point of no return for Big Hops?
I try not to think of that point. We have a ways to go, but I would say the 30% is probably a good guesstimation. I mean, it could be worse. If this goes, let's say another month or two, that number starts skyrocketing. I think now we've been through 2 months worth of expenses, and we're going to start getting where most businesses will be on the end of the rope.
I know that you've been doing a lot of work at the state level too, talking to the governor, trying to get him to reopen bars. Are you optimistic that that's going to happen in the next few weeks here?
I am optimistic. Through the Texas Restaurant Association and the Texas Bar and Nightclub Alliance, we've submitted a proposal to the governor with a safety plan in place and how we can open safely to serve the community while taking care of the employees safety-wise and the customers. So we feel pretty confident that it's based, on science. It's based with the health experts here in Texas, and 20 other bars around the state got together to put the proposal in place. So we think it's a logical plan, and we think it'll get their attention.
How big is this industry we're talking about in San Antonio when you talk about hospitality and you talk about the service industry?
There's 5,500 bars, taverns, and nightclubs that were closed on March 20th. So over 75,000 people or Texans lost their job that night. Yeah. It's probably sales revenue since then. They've estimated it's over 620 million, which equates to about 42 million in lost tax revenue to the state as well. So it's significant.
Talk about the balancing act that, just because you open doesn't mean people are going to automatically come back. So there's got to be a balancing act that you make the customer feel like he's going to be in a safe environment, correct?
Correct. On our side, we're going to do everything possible to make them feel comfortable. Employees wearing masks, gloves, hand sanitizer at the front door, things like that. Social distancing in the inside the premise and out on our patios.
What do you want
it'll be significant.
What do you want our viewers to take? What message do you want them to take with them tonight and maybe tomorrow as they drive around and they see some of these bars with the lights on and the music going?
I want everyone to understand we are still here and we are ready to return and serve you safely.
Rob Martindale with Big Hops. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, Rob.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Take care. We'll be right back. There will not be a 60-day grace period for residents behind on rent in San Antonio. The proposed ordinance failed by 1 vote today during City Council. If passed, it would have required landlords give a notice of proposed eviction 60 days before they could begin the actual eviction process. This would give renters a chance to catch up on payments. Numerous landlords who came to speak at the meeting strongly opposed the idea, and council members worried about possible legal challenges.
It is irresponsible tenants that this ordinance helps.
With the stroke of a pen, you will make me bankrupt.
I do not want another lawsuit because the city cannot afford one, both literally and figuratively.
Dallas and Austin have adopted similar ordinances meant to give renters more protection from evictions. Turning to tonight's top stories, Governor Greg Abbott announcing today the Texas Health and Human Services Commission received more than $3 million in federal funding for family and domestic violence prevention services. The money will go to 78 centers across Texas, which will help provide survivors with immediate shelter, supportive services, and access to community-based programs. The funds are made available through the CARES Act. If you won a lottery ticket before everything shut down because of coronavirus, well, you're in luck. All 16 of the Texas Lottery Claim Centers will reopen on June 1st. Lottery officials say winners can claim their prizes through appointment only. Claims can also be mailed in, however, but it can take up to 6 weeks to be processed. The centers will abide by state safety and cleaning guidelines. This is what it looked like yesterday when the Thunderbirds filled the San Antonio sky to salute frontline COVID-19 workers. The squadron was officially activated in 1953, but as RJ Marquez tells us in tonight's Throwback Thursday, the Thunderbirds' lineage actually started right here in San Antonio decades before.
The Thunderbirds took flight over San Antonio to the amazement of thousands across the city. The Air Force Squadron is the third oldest formal flying acrobatic team in the world and has a unique connection to San Antonio. The Thunderbirds' origins can be traced to June of 1917 when the 30th Aero Squadron was organized at what was then Kelly Air Force Base. Most of the men in the squadron arrived at Kelly Air Force Base when it was nothing more than dirt and large fields. The squadron was activated when the United States entered World War I. It was demobilized a year later and then reconstituted as the 30th Bombardment Squadron in 1923. The 30th Bombardment Squadron was reassigned to Kelly Air Force Base from 1930 to 1932, but was organized as a regular Army inactive. The squadron was ultimately discontinued in February of 1963, but would get new life decades later. In September of 1985, the 30th Bombardment Squadron was consolidated with the U.S. Air Force Air Demonstration Squadron, which we know now as the Thunderbirds. The Thunderbirds have performed for decades around the world for millions of people.
Fight for our country, fight for our freedoms, and it's just a small sampling of what makes this country so great.
Wednesday's flyover in San Antonio was part of Operation America Strong, to salute and give thanks to all healthcare workers who are serving on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic.
Now, just about everybody spent their day yesterday outside waiting for the Thunderbirds to fly over as part of their Operation America Strong mission. It was really cool to see it. We had a lot of great coverage on KSAT.com, but this might be the coolest video yet. We actually were able to get footage from the cockpit of one of the F-16s that flew yesterday across San Antonio as part of that flyover. So it's really cool footage. You can definitely see that on KSAT.com. The best part is you don't get any G-force sickness when you watch it, so you're getting the best angle looking down at the city, but none of the sickness that comes with getting onto a jet. As you know, those can be kind of crazy turbulent. So really cool to see. Go to KSAT.com to check that one out. Now, quarantine can no longer be your only excuse for not going to the gym. That's right, a lot of gyms are reopening in Texas, and recently Gold's and Lifetime both announced that they will be opening up very soon here on Monday, May 18th. Now, this is a really big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people are excited to get back to the gym, but it won't be what you're used to. Some of the facilities will be shut down, things like pools, saunas, showers, things like that you're not going to be really allowed to use. And masks are recommended. You don't have to wear them, but they're definitely encouraged. And you do have to wear gloves that cover your fingers and your palms so you can help reduce the spread of COVID-19. So if you're the type that likes to go to the gym, it's a good day for you. Enjoy it, get back out there, get those endorphins pumping. Our last story of the day comes from Shaquille O'Neal. Now, Shaq, the former Lakers great, said that he doesn't really count the 1999 NBA championship that went to the Spurs. He doesn't really count it as a real season because it was a shortened season during a lockout. He said he would tell Tim Duncan to his face that Tim Duncan only really has 4 rings instead of 5. Now, I am a documented Lakers fan. I'm not going to tell you how I think about this. You should already know. But the thing I will say is maybe the joke's on me for following the guy who thought Kazam was a good idea for a movie. So, all of these stories, a lot more on KSAT.com. Go and check them out. Take it easy.
That's it for the news at 9 for all of us here at KSAT 12. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the night beat.